Alf, an astounding number of comic book dealers only sell ungraded raw comic books. Can you believe it? And we're going to talk through some statistics, CGC stats, and why things are going to change on the comic book dealer side. Stick around. What's going on, collectibles friends? It's another day. It's another collectibles video back again. I hope that everyone is having an amazing Monday so far, amazing week so far. We are back and we are talking about comic book dealers and how things are definitely going to change as we buy, sell, trade comic books as we move into the future. As I watch a lot of comic book YouTubers that happen to be dealers, I do notice that they do have some slab books, and there's some dealers that have a lot of slabbed books, CGC, CBCS slab books, but there's also a lot of dealers that don't have any slab books. They're selling completely ungraded books. And really, especially when we're talking about keys and even minor key books, because really if we break down kind of the key books and the minor keys, you're talking about a relatively small number of titles in comparison to how many have been printed and continue to be printed. And I understand that people are going to have their pull boxes, they're going to have stuff that they want to just buy and read, and that's cool. I love that part of the comic book world. I remember as a kid that going all the way back to the Image comic days as they were starting out, people had their issues as soon as they hit every month. They go pick it up and they're all excited for it. I love that. And I understand that a lot of people just like reading comic books. But we're moving into a different age where third-party grading is really taking over, especially when we're trying to gauge prices for key books. I can't imagine buying any sort of a Silver Age, even a Bronze Age, let alone a Golden Age key that is not slabbed. At least not for a high price. I wouldn't pay anything substantial, but that's just kind of the catch though, isn't it? The dealer's not going to sell you a decent Golden Age book for a low price so that you can go and get it graded. They're not dumb. They understand what comic books are worth. They just might not believe in a slab adding value to it. They might not believe in that. They might just think, hey, look, ungraded is the way that we operate, and that is perfectly fine. But I will tell you, in 10, 15, 20 years, there will be very few dealers, I think, that operate this way, that only sell ungraded books. And I'm really talking about, again, key books. I'm not talking about the modern stuff that comes out that's just going on the rack. I'm talking about stuff that, you go back and they're wanted books. When people are buying the collections, when they go buy the 1,000 comic book collection and they pick out the 30 keys or minor keys, that's what I'm talking about. Those books will not be ungraded for long, because if you as the dealer is not going to grade it, the person buying will. It's just a matter of time. Let's look at some stats. GPA analysis. I was looking at one of their forums, and they had an article going back a couple of months. And it's fascinating. I've been talking a lot about supply and graded supply. We know that there was a lot of comic books printed, just like on the trading card side, even going back to vintage stuff. Lots of stuff was printed, but how much of it survived and in what condition did it survive in? Really, that's the big question mark. Well, GPA gave some really good data here around the CGC census. CGC started January 1st, 2000. They opened their doors. So as soon as we found out that the Y2K virus was okay and it wasn't going to blow everything up and the world wasn't ending, CGC opened their doors January 1st, 2000. In their first 5 years, they graded 518,000 books. It's actually a lot of books considering they were just getting started. At the end of 2014, CGC had graded almost 2.5 million books. Now, I also do understand we have to take into account, of course, just like on the trading card side, a lot of people are cracking, cleaning, pressing, or just cracking and resubbing. Maybe they got a 9.6 and they're like, man, this should have got a 9.8. They crack it 3 times and they just keep on sending it in until hopefully they finally get that 9.8. So I do understand that each time someone does that, it counts into these numbers. So we know it's not 2.5 million individual books. It's just 2.5 million times they graded. That was at the end of 2014. 9 years later, as we come into basically where we are now, at the beginning of 2014, 10.2 million books. 10.2 million. So it pretty much 4x'd over 9 years. Went from 2.5 million to 10.2 million over a 9-year span. And you can kind of see the interest and the want to grade has increased. It hasn't slowed down. To me, the comic book market, and I understand these are different collectibles markets, but I think it's probably similar to where the trading card market was in 2015. Right now, the trading card market between sports cards, non-sports, TCG, the big four companies, that's not including all the other companies, but the big four with PSA leading by a pretty large margin, they're grading 15 million cards a year. A year now. They've really ramped up capacity. They've reinvested in it. And CGC, and I think there will probably be competitors to come in that will try to take market share away from CGC. Beckett kind of flailing a little bit, just like they are on the trading card side. I anticipate a competitor to come in against CGC, a serious one. I speculated it would be Collectors Universe, Collectors PSA, essentially coming in and also grading comic books. They already grade Funko Pops. They grade Type 1 photos. They're not a stranger to other things outside of trading cards. And I think that would be excellent for the hobby. It would be excellent for comic book collectors / speculators / investors that want to preserve and also just have at least a little bit more confidence that they're not buying a Golden Age book that's been restored or touched up, or that Frankenstein page was added in. You took a page, added a page in. Oh, we got a missing page 27. You figure out how to add, like all the craziness, all the wonkiness. We need third-party grading. Have confidence in putting serious money into books. If you're going to put $500, $1,000, for most people, that's a lot of money. That might be a mortgage payment. That might be a car payment. That could be a lot of, whatever, daycare payment. That's a lot of money to put into some expensive paper or, expensive cardboard. So it is going to continue to grow. And I think that dealers that keep their key books and don't adjust and don't get those graded, I think over time, I think they're really going to regret that. I think that it just makes sense to grade those out and be able to put market value behind it. It's no different than when we're at a card show and you've got a bunch of nice cards, vintage cards, just like a Silver Age comic book, that aren't graded. What's the likelihood that you're going to pay for that one that's not graded for around the same price as the graded one? And also, again, just having the peace of mind. And I understand, look, if the dealer's asking an exorbitant price for the graded one, yeah, you're shopping around and there's auction houses, there's a million places to buy these things. And there's going to be a lot more supply coming. I've talked about that here over the last few weeks. I'm going to just beat on that drum until people understand it, because it's mind-blowing to me when I look at the prices of some of the books. And then I see all the ungraded copies of major keys that are all over social media all the time. It's really wild. I am actually floored, because for some of these, I actually thought, they probably graded a good amount. They probably graded a good amount of these. And I'm finding out more and more every day that there's a long way to go on this thing. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out. How are comic book dealers that maybe don't want to sell graded comic books, how will they adapt over time? Will they adapt over time? Maybe they don't need to. Maybe they've got plenty of local collectors or people online. They've built out a nice business. A lot of running a business too is just being likable, having those relationships with your customers and that sort of thing. So I do understand it's a different type of collectible from trading cards, and that people actually do read the books, and it's very interesting. I mean, hell, they're grading single pages of important keys. And even that I think is really cool. A single page out of, Incredible Hulk 1 or Amazing Fantasy 15. Yeah, it stinks that came out of a AF 15, but it's also really damn cool too. Have a slabbed up page of history, essentially, because that's what we're collecting. It's pop culture history. And then you look at the ripple effects that have come from these books, and it's immense. It's absolutely immense. All right, my friends, that's all I've got for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How are you feeling on this subject? I want to hear it. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.